The armored figure stepped through the university's main entrance as plasma rifles swiveled toward her from every corner. Queen Elena Vasquez moved with deliberate precision, each footstep echoing against marble floors while alien security forces tracked her movement. Her ceremonial combat armor gleamed under fluorescent lights, bearing the crimson dragon of Earth's united monarchy. "Halt!" commanded Cathara High Commander Zextool, his chitinous frame blocking the corridor. Forearms gestured toward concealed weapons. No warfare implements permitted on academic grounds. Elena's helmet retracted with a mechanical hiss, revealing a scarred face and eyes like cold steel. "I wear this armor by right of blood and necessity. Stand aside." The Caithara's mandibles clicked nervously. Behind him, students from a dozen species pressed against walls, whispering in languages that created a symphony of confusion. Elena had arrived unannounced without diplomatic escort, carrying only a small metallic case that pulsed with soft blue light. "Your Majesty!" Professor Veltar emerged from the crowd, his tentacled head bobbing with anxiety. "The Galactic Education Accords strictly prohibit—" "My daughter attends this institution," Elena cut him off. "I will see her immediately." Word spread through the campus like wildfire. The human queen had come alone, armed, breaking every protocol established since humanity joined the Galactic Council 5 years ago. Security feeds showed her walking through corridors with mechanical precision, ignoring the growing crowd of onlookers. In advanced xenobiology, 12-year-old Sarah Vasquez looked up from her holographic display as commotion erupted outside. Through reinforced windows, she watched her mother approach the building with measured steps. Sarah's heart hammered against her ribs. Elena never came to the university, never broke protocol, never showed vulnerability. Something was catastrophically wrong. "Sarah," whispered her Altarian study partner Keshin, "your parent unit appears distressed." The classroom door burst open. Elena filled the doorway, her armor's servos humming with contained energy. Students scrambled backward, but Sarah remained seated, studying her mother's face with growing dread. "Pack your belongings, we're leaving." Professor Thanimal, a dignified Centaurian, rose from behind his desk. "Your Majesty, with respect, class dismissal requires administrative." Elena's gauntleted hand moved to her sidearm, not threatening, merely present. The professor's words died in his throat. Sarah gathered her materials with shaking fingers. "Mom, what's happening?" "Later." Elena's voice carried the weight of absolute authority. "Move quickly." The metallic case in Elena's left hand pulsed brighter, its blue glow casting strange shadows across the classroom walls. Several students backed away further, recognizing advanced human technology when they saw it. Only rumors existed about what humanity's military developed in secret laboratories. As they left the building, Sarah noticed her mother's armor bore fresh scratches and scorch marks. Battle damage. Recent battle damage. Elena's usual diplomatic retinue was absent, replaced by the cold efficiency of someone operating under extreme duress. "The transport shuttle," Elena commanded, pointing toward the landing pad where her personal craft waited. Its engines were already running, pilot ready for immediate departure. "Your Majesty!" High Commander Zextool approached with his security detail. "You cannot remove a registered student without proper documentation." Elena stopped walking. She turned slowly, and Sarah saw something in her mother's expression that made her blood run cold. Not anger, not frustration, fear. Raw, desperate fear barely contained beneath royal composure. "High Commander," Elena's voice remained level, "I suggest you contact Earth Central Command immediately. Ask them about Protocol 77 Alpha. The Cathara's compound eyes widened. Protocol 77 Alpha was classified beyond even high-level diplomatic access. Whatever it meant, it carried enough weight to make a military commander step aside without question. On the shuttle, Sarah watched the university shrink beneath them as they climbed toward orbit. Her mother sat rigid in the pilot's seat, hands moving across controls with practiced efficiency. The metallic case rested between them, its pulsing blue light growing more intense with each passing minute. "Mom, later, Sarah." "Mom, please." Elena's knuckles were white against the control grips. 16 hours ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected something approaching Earth, something that shouldn't exist. Sarah's mouth went dry. What kind of something? Ellen engaged the hyperspace drive without answering. Stars stretched into lines as they jumped toward Earth, leaving behind the relative safety of the educational sector. Whatever was coming, whatever had forced the Queen of Humanity to abandon all protocol and retrieve her daughter personally, it was waiting for them in the home system, pulsed brighter. And Sarah realized with growing horror that her mother wasn't just fleeing toward Earth, she was fleeing toward something far worse than anything they'd left behind. The armor, the weapons, the desperate urgency. Elena wasn't coming to save her daughter. She was bringing Sarah home to face the end of everything they'd ever known. As hyperspace swirled around their craft, Sarah saw her reflection in the viewport. For the first time in her young life, she looked exactly like her mother. Terrified, determined, and utterly alone against forces beyond comprehension, the case continued pulsing, counting down to something neither of them could stop. Earth grew larger in their viewport as they dropped from hyperspace, but Sarah barely recognized her home planet. Massive orbital defense platforms surrounded the world like a steel cocoon, their weapon arrays tracking threats that shouldn't exist. Emergency broadcasts filled every communication channel, most in languages Sarah didn't understand, but all carrying the same tone of controlled panic. Elena piloted their shuttle through defense grids with identification codes that bypassed every checkpoint. Each layer they penetrated revealed more evidence of preparation for war. Battle fleets hung in formation around Luna. Evacuation ships moved in endless streams between Earth and its mining colonies. Even the civilian traffic followed military patterns, suggesting martial law had been declared hours ago. Mom, please tell me what's happening. Elena's armor retracted, with mechanical whispers, revealing a woman who looked like she'd aged years in the past day. Dark. Circles shadowed her eyes, and her usually immaculate appearance showed signs of hasty preparation. The monitoring stations detected 17 objects moving toward our solar system. Each one is the size of a small moon. Sarah felt ice form in her stomach. Ships? We thought so initially, but they're not following any propulsion system we understand. No energy signatures, no life signs. They're just coming. The shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere toward the capital city. Even from this altitude, Sarah could see the changes. Military vehicles moved through streets in organized patterns. Civilian populations were being relocated to underground facilities. The normalcy of her childhood had been stripped away in less than a day. The case, Sarah gestured toward the pulsing device. What is it? Elena caught her breath, and for the first time since arriving at the university, she met her daughter's eyes directly. It's a key to something your grandmother built before she died, something we swore we'd never use. The words hung in the air between them like a death sentence. Sarah's grandmother had been Dr. Maria Vasquez, the scientist whose research led to humanity's first contact with alien civilizations. She'd also been responsible for the defensive technologies that earned Earth its place in the Galactic Council. Grandmother built weapons, among other things. Elena's voice carried a weight of family secrets suddenly exposed. She believed that joining the galactic community was humanity's future, but she also knew that our nature made us different. Other species see us as aggressive, unpredictable. She prepared for the possibility that this difference might someday be seen as a threat rather than an asset. Their shuttle touched down on the palace landing pad where dozens of military advisors waited with expressions of barely controlled desperation. Sarah recognized Admiral Chen, Director Hayes from the Science Directorate, and other figures whose presence meant Earth's leadership was operating under maximum crisis protocols. As they disembarked, Elena handed Sarah a small device that looked like a simple communication badge. Whatever happens next, stay close to me. That device will keep you protected from energy discharges. Protected from what energy discharges? Elena didn't answer. She strode toward the assembled officials with Sarah following, the case pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Admiral Chen approached immediately, his weathered face grim. Your Majesty, the objects have accelerated. Estimated arrival in 14 hours. Galactic Council response? They're evacuating the core worlds. Ambassador Kestal delivered a formal message 20 minutes ago. Chen's expression darkened further. They consider this a human problem. Sarah watched her mother's face transform. The diplomatic mask Elena wore for public appearances dissolved, replaced by something fierce and calculating. The woman who'd spent 5 years carefully building humanity's reputation as peaceful partners in galactic civilization was preparing to abandon that facade entirely. "Then we handle it as humans," Elena said quietly. "Activate the Vasquez protocol." Every official stepped backward involuntarily. Sarah didn't understand why, but she felt the change in atmosphere like a physical pressure. Whatever her grandmother had built, whatever Elena was preparing to unleash, it carried enough weight to terrify Earth's most powerful leaders. Director Hayes cleared his throat nervously. "Your Majesty, with respect, the Vasquez protocol has never been tested on this scale. The theoretical consequences are irrelevant." Elena held up the pulsing case. 17 moon-sized objects are approaching Earth with unknown intent, and the galactic community has abandoned us. We use what we have. As they moved toward the palace's secure levels, Sarah realized her mother wasn't just preparing for war. She was preparing to reveal something about humanity that would change their relationship with every species in the galaxy. The careful diplomacy, the peaceful integration, the reputation for being helpful partners, all of it was about to be sacrificed for survival. The case pulsed brighter, and Sarah understood with crystalline clarity that her normal life had ended the moment her mother arrived at the university. Whatever emerged from the next 14 hours, humanity would never be the same. In the depths of the palace, ancient machinery hummed to life. The elevator descended past levels Sarah never knew existed, penetrating deep into the Earth's crust where her grandmother's most dangerous secrets waited in the darkness. Elena's case now pulsed in synchronization with massive energy signatures that made the air itself feel electric. Sarah's protection device grew warm against her chest, activating systems designed for threats she couldn't comprehend. "Level 7, Elena announced as they stopped. The heart of the Vasquez Research Complex. The doors opened to reveal a vast underground chamber filled with technology that belonged in no textbook Sarah had ever studied. Crystalline formations grew from metal frameworks, pulsing with the same blue light as Elena's case. Holographic displays showed the 17 approaching objects, now close enough to reveal their true nature. "They're not ships," Sarah whispered, studying the images. "No." Elena placed her case into a specialized receptacle, causing the entire chamber to hum with increasing power. "There's something else entirely." The objects appeared organic, their surfaces rippling with patterns that suggested intelligence but not technology. Each one moved with purpose toward Earth's solar system, ignoring the gravitational influences that should have altered their trajectory. As they approached, long-range sensors detected something even more disturbing. "They're growing," Admiral Chen reported, reviewing incoming data. "Each object has increased in size by approximately 12% since initial detection." Elena activated her grandmother's final recording, and Dr. Maria Vasquez's hologram materialized before them. Despite being 20 years old, the message felt frighteningly relevant. If you're watching this, humanity faces an existential threat that conventional weapons cannot address. During my research into galactic civilizations, I discovered evidence of periodic purges. Every few thousand years, civilizations that show too much potential are corrected. Sarah felt her blood turn to ice. "Corrected?" the hologram continued. "These entities arrive without warning, consume entire worlds, and leave behind sterile systems. I found records of 17 previous purging events across galactic history. The survivors always describe moon-sized organic entities that adapt to any defensive measure." Elena's hands moved across ancient control surfaces, awakening systems her mother had hoped would never be needed. Grandmother discovered that humanity possesses a unique neurological structure. "Our capacity for both creation and destruction exists on a scale that makes other species uncomfortable." "Why?" "Because we're the only species that weaponizes everything." Elena's voice carried pride mixed with sorrow. "Art, music, mathematics, biology. Humans turn every discovery into a potential weapon. Other species develop specific technologies for specific purposes. We develop universal principles and adapt them to whatever we need." The chamber's central display activated, showing Earth's position relative to the approaching entities. Countdown timers indicated 12 hours remaining until contact. Around the globe, every human settlement was implementing protocols designed by Maria Vasquez 2 decades ago. The Galactic Council doesn't abandon civilizations during purge events, Elena continued, working with desperate efficiency. They evacuate their own populations and observe the outcome. If the targeted species survives, they're welcomed back. If not, we're being tested. Sarah understood with horrible clarity. Every advanced species faces this test eventually. Most fail. Elena's case merged with the chamber's central systems, causing waves of energy to ripple through the crystalline formations. But Grandmother believed humans might be different. Admiral Chen monitored communications from the fleet. Galactic observer ships are maintaining position at safe distance. They're recording everything but providing no assistance. Sarah watched her mother prepare technologies that would reveal humanity's true nature to the galaxy. Every weapon system Maria Vasquez had developed operated on principles other species considered impossible or immoral. Biological warfare that adapted in real time. Energy weapons that learned from their target's defenses. Artificial intelligence systems that evolved during combat. Mom, if we use these weapons, the other species will fear us forever. Elena paused in her work, meeting her daughter's eyes. Sarah, they already fear us. They've just been too polite to admit it. She gestured toward displays showing galactic evacuation patterns. Look how quickly they abandoned us. We've spent 5 years proving we could be peaceful partners. But the moment real danger appeared, they ran. The truth of it struck Sarah like a physical blow. Humanity's careful diplomatic efforts, their integration into galactic society, their reputation as helpful and creative partners, all of it had been built on other species' belief that humans could be controlled. The test isn't whether we can survive, Sarah realized. It's whether we're dangerous enough to be left alone. Exactly. Elena's case completed its integration with the ancient systems. Throughout the chamber, weapons that existed nowhere else in the galaxy powered up for the first time. If we fail, they'll remember us as another civilization that couldn't adapt. If we succeed, massive displays showed the 17 entities entering Earth's outer solar system. They moved with increasing speed, their organic surfaces rippling with anticipation. Long-range scans revealed internal structures that defied understanding. Not technological, not biological, but something that combined the worst aspects of both. Elena placed her hand on the final activation control. If we succeed, every species in the galaxy will know exactly what humans become when we stop pretending to be civilized. Sarah looked around the chamber at weapons her grandmother had built from principles other species couldn't or wouldn't develop. Each one represented humanity's unique gift for turning any discovery into an instrument of war. The countdown timer reached 11 hours and 59 minutes. Elena pressed the activation control and Earth's true defenses came online. The first entity breached Jupiter's orbit as Maria Vasquez's weapons achieved full power. Sarah watched through strategic displays as her grandmother's greatest creation awakened in the depths of Earth's ocean. The Leviathan defense grid had waited 20 years for this moment, growing and evolving in underwater installations that appeared on no official records. Biological weapon platforms activated, Director Hayes reported with barely controlled awe. Dr. Vasquez's organisms are responding to threat parameters. Across Earth's ocean floors, creatures that shouldn't exist stirred from engineered hibernation. Each one had been designed to counter specific threats, their biology incorporating elements from every species humanity had encountered. They rose through dark water with purpose that transcended natural evolution. Elena monitored the approaching entities through sensors her mother had hidden throughout the solar system. The first 3 are targeting Earth directly. The others are moving to surround us. Classic purging formation, Admiral Chen confirmed. They're not here to invade. They're here to sterilize. Sarah felt her protection device growing warmer as unknown energies filled the space around them. Through the chamber's displays, she watched humanity reveal its true nature to galactic observers. Every weapon system activating defied treaties, moral conventions, or technological limitations other species accepted. Adaptive neural networks online, announced a synthetic voice that belonged to her grandmother's ultimate creation, analyzing entity composition and defensive measures. The central display shifted to show what Maria Vasquez had built in secret. artificial intelligence systems that evolved in real time, learning from every fraction of data they encountered. Unlike the stable, predictable AI other species developed, these were designed to become more dangerous the longer they operated. Grandmother built weapons that think. Elena nodded grimly. She built weapons that learn, adapt, and exceed their original parameters. Every species in the galaxy considers this type of AI development completely insane, because it is insane. Sarah watched the biological organisms breaking the ocean's surface, their forms shifting as they encountered atmospheric conditions. We're deploying weapons we can't control. That's what makes us human. Elena's voice carried a mixture of pride and terror. Other species build tools they can master. We build forces we can unleash. The first entity reached Mars's orbit, its massive bulk beginning to affect the planet's gravitational field. Close-range scans revealed its true nature. Not a single organism, but millions of smaller entities working in perfect coordination. Each component appeared capable of independent thought while serving a collective purpose that spanned astronomical distances. It's learning from Mars, Admiral Chen reported. Energy patterns indicate active scanning of mineral composition, atmospheric data, biological traces from our terraforming efforts. Sarah understood with growing horror. It's figuring out how to kill everything human. Elena activated her grandmother's final surprise. Deep beneath the Sahara Desert, particle accelerators that appeared on no public records engaged fusion protocols that violated every known safety standard. Then we show it what happens when humans stop caring about safety standards. The underground weapons achieve temperatures approaching stellar cores, channeling energy through crystalline matrices that existed nowhere else in known space. Each system incorporated discoveries Maria Vasquez had made during her lifetime. Technologies other species had refused to develop because the risks outweighed any possible benefit. Quantum disruption fields established, the synthetic voice announced. Reality distortion weapons charging to full capacity. Sarah stared at her mother in disbelief. Reality distortion? Your grandmother discovered that space-time itself can be weaponized under specific conditions. Elena's expression showed the weight of family secrets finally revealed. She built devices that alter local physics to make enemy existence impossible. Through the displays, Sarah watched Earth's most dangerous children emerge from hiding places around the globe. Biological horrors that adapted faster than their targets could respond. AI systems that rewrote their own programming during combat. Energy weapons that ignored conventional physics. Each one represented humanity's gift for pushing every discovery beyond reasonable limits. The Galactic observer ships maintained their safe distance, recording everything for species who had fled rather than face the purging entities. They would learn today what humans became when survival required abandoning civilization. Entity 1 has reached Earth's atmospheric boundary, Admiral Chen announced. It's beginning atmospheric analysis. Elena smiled with an expression that made Sarah's blood run cold. Then let's give it something interesting to analyze. She triggered the atmospheric defense protocols, releasing biological agents that had evolved in laboratory conditions for 2 decades. The Earth's atmosphere itself became a weapon, filled with organisms designed to corrupt any foreign biology they encountered. The first entity's surface began to ripple as it encountered humanity's gift of turning everything into a tool of war. Outside the chamber, Earth's children prepared to show the galaxy what happened when humans stopped playing by other species' rules. The moment Entity 1 touched Earth's atmosphere, Sarah understood why the galaxy feared humanity. Her grandmother's atmospheric modifications didn't just attack foreign organisms, they converted them, incorporating their biological advantages into an ever-evolving defensive matrix that grew stronger with each encounter. Entity 1 is experiencing structural degradation, Director Hayes reported, with scientific fascination. Dr. Vasquez's organisms are breaking down its outer shell and analyzing the components in real time. Elena monitored the process through displays that showed molecular-level combat. The atmosphere is learning how to kill them more efficiently. Sarah watched in horrified amazement as Earth's modified air consumed portions of the massive entity, using its own biological material to create new defensive measures. Within minutes, the planet's atmosphere carried weapons specifically designed to counter whatever the purging entities represented. Entity composition analyzed, announced the artificial intelligence systems, implementing countermeasures across all active defense platforms. The Leviathan creatures now fully active in Earth's oceans began to change, their biology adapting based on information gathered from the first entity's destruction. Each organism incorporated new capabilities designed to counter the remaining 16 threats approaching Earth. The creatures are evolving in real time, Admiral Chen observed through underwater monitoring systems. They're not just adapting, they're improving on Dr. Vasquez's original designs. Elena nodded with the satisfaction of someone whose family legacy was finally being fulfilled. Grandmother built them to exceed her own expectations. Every encounter makes them more dangerous than she originally imagined. Through long-range sensors, Sarah watched the galactic observer ships recording everything. Species that had spent 5 years believing humans could be civilized were witnessing the truth. Humanity had never stopped being the galaxy's most dangerous predator. They'd simply gotten better at hiding their teeth. Entities 2 through 4 are accelerating toward Earth, Admiral Chen reported. They've observed Entity 1's destruction and are modifying their approach patterns. Good. Elena's smile carried implications that made Sarah's protection device pulse with warning energy. That means they're intelligent enough to learn. Grandmother always hoped they would be intelligent. The quantum disruption fields activated beneath the Sahara, causing space-time itself to behave differently within Earth's immediate vicinity. The remaining entities found themselves operating under physical laws that changed randomly, making their coordinated approach impossible to maintain. Reality distortion fields effective, the synthetic voice reported. Enemy formation disrupted. Entities experiencing navigational difficulties. Sarah realized her grandmother had weaponized the universe itself. Rather than building better guns or stronger armor, Maria Vasquez had discovered how to make the fundamental forces of physics work against any threat to humanity. It was brilliant, terrifying, and completely insane. Exactly what other species expected from human innovation. Mom, after today, every species in the galaxy will consider us their greatest threat. Elena paused in her monitoring to meet her daughter's eyes. Sarah, they already considered us their greatest threat. They've just been hoping we'd never realize our own potential. The truth of it struck home as Sarah watched Entity 2 encounter organisms that had already evolved beyond her grandmother's original specifications. The biological weapons rising from Earth's oceans now incorporated capabilities stolen from Entity 1, making them more dangerous than anything Maria Vasquez had imagined possible. The Galactic Council didn't abandon us because they were afraid of the purging entities, Sarah understood. They abandoned us because they were afraid of what we'd become fighting them. Every species faces this test eventually, Elena confirmed. Most fail because they fight using weapons their civilization considers acceptable. The few that survive do so by abandoning whatever limitations kept them civilized. Entity 2 disintegrated as atmospheric organisms designed specifically to counter its biology consumed it from the inside. Its destruction provided new data for Earth's defensive systems, creating an evolutionary cycle that grew more efficient with each encounter. Entities 3 and 4 are attempting to coordinate their approach, Admiral Chen reported. They're trying to overwhelm our adaptive systems. Elena triggered protocols that activated every weapon system Maria Vasquez had developed in secret. Across Earth's surface, installations that appeared on no official records powered up simultaneously. Each one incorporated technologies other species had refused to develop, not because they couldn't, but because they shouldn't. Full Vasquez protocol implementation, Elena announced. No limitations, no safety measures, no moral constraints. Sarah watched humanity reveal its true face to the galaxy. Biological weapons that turned enemies into allies. AI systems that rewrote physics to ensure victory. Energy weapons that learned from their targets and adapted accordingly. Everything her species touched became a tool of war, refined to lethal perfection. The remaining entities would find no quarter in Earth's solar system. More importantly, the galactic observers would return to their civilizations with recordings that would change humanity's status forever. They would never again be seen as junior partners in galactic civilization. They would be recognized for what they truly were, the galaxy's apex predator, temporarily leashed by their own choice to be civilized. The leash was coming off. Entities 3 and 4 struck Earth's modified atmosphere simultaneously, triggering a defensive response that exceeded every prediction in Maria Vasquez's models. Sarah watched through quantum sensors as her grandmother's organisms didn't just adapt to the new threats. They began to anticipate future variations, evolving countermeasures for attacks that hadn't happened yet. Predictive evolution protocols engaged, the artificial intelligence reported with something resembling satisfaction. Defensive systems now developing countermeasures for theoretical enemy capabilities. Elena monitored the biomass readings from Earth's oceans. The Leviathans have reached critical mass. They're beginning spontaneous reproduction. Sarah felt ice form in her stomach. They're multiplying? Your grandmother designed them to self-replicate when facing extinction-level threats. Elena's expression showed equal parts pride and horror. They're not just defending Earth anymore. They're ensuring humanity's survival by any means necessary. Through deep ocean monitoring systems, Sarah watched creatures the size of cities emerge from oceanic trenches. Each one incorporated biological improvements stolen from the destroyed entities, creating an evolutionary arms race that pushed the boundaries of what life could become. Entities 5 through 9 are maintaining distance, Admiral Chen announced. They appear to be analyzing our defensive capabilities before committing to attack. Intelligent decision, Elena admitted, but ultimately irrelevant. She activated the Sahara facility's final surprise, quantum tunneling weapons that could strike targets regardless of distance or defensive measures. The technology violated causality itself, allowing effects to occur before their causes were established. Temporal distortion weapons online, the synthetic voice announced, targeting entities in order of threat assessment. Sarah realized her grandmother had built weapons that attacked enemies in the past, ensuring their destruction before they could mount effective defenses. It was scientifically impossible, morally questionable, and tactically perfect, everything humanity brought to warfare. Entity 5 destroyed, Admiral Chen reported with clinical precision. Enemy formation collapsing, remaining entities attempting to retreat. Elena's smile carried implications that made Sarah's protection device pulse with urgent warnings. Grandmother always said the most important part of any conflict is making sure your enemies can't warn their friends. The quantum tunneling systems targeted Entity 6 while it was still attempting to process Entity 5's destruction. Space-time twisted around the massive organism as temporal weapons attacked it across multiple points in its timeline simultaneously, ensuring its destruction was both inevitable and already accomplished. Entity 6 eliminated across all temporal probability matrices, the AI confirmed. Entity 7 showing signs of dimensional instability. Sarah watched her species demonstrate why the galaxy feared human innovation. Other civilizations developed weapons that respected the laws of physics. Humanity developed weapons that rewrote those laws to ensure victory. The remaining entities are trying to escape the solar system, Admiral Chen observed. But the quantum fields are preventing their departure. Elena nodded with satisfaction. Grandmother's final protocol ensures no threat to humanity survives to threaten us again later. The Leviathans, now active throughout Earth's oceans, began to spread beyond their original parameters. Biological sensors detected them adapting to survive in vacuum, preparing to pursue the retreating entities into deep space. They were evolving beyond their intended purpose, becoming something that could hunt threats across interstellar distances. Mom, they're going to follow the entities home. Yes, Elena's voice carried the weight of decisions made 20 years ago. Your grandmother believed the best defense against future purges was ensuring this never happened again. Sarah watched through long-range sensors as Entity 7, 8, and 9 discovered they couldn't escape Earth's solar system. The quantum disruption fields had created a barrier that prevented faster-than-light travel, trapping them with weapons that grew more dangerous by the moment. The Leviathans reached orbital altitude, their massive forms beginning to spread through space toward the trapped entities. They had evolved beyond anything Maria Vasquez had imagined. Biological weapons platforms capable of interstellar travel, reproduction, and continuous adaptation to any threat they encountered. Entity 7 destroyed, the AI reported. Entities 8 and 9 attempting to establish communication protocols. Elena paused in her monitoring. They want to surrender? Unknown. Communication attempts are being interpreted as potential psychological warfare. Defensive systems recommend immediate elimination. Sarah realized the horrible truth. We can't stop them anymore, can we? Elena met her daughter's eyes with an expression of profound sadness. Your grandmother built weapons that ensure humanity's survival above all other considerations. They don't distinguish between enemies, neutrals, or potential allies. The final two entities were destroyed within minutes, consumed by biological organisms that had evolved far beyond their original specifications. The Leviathans, now numbering in the thousands, began to spread through the solar system in preparation for expansion into deep space. Through communication arrays, Sarah heard the emergency broadcasts from galactic observer ships preparing to flee toward home systems. They had recorded humanity's true nature, and their testimony would change the balance of galactic civilization forever. Humanity had passed the test, but at a cost no one had anticipated. Earth's most dangerous children were free, evolving independently and preparing to ensure no civilization would ever threaten humanity again. The age of human diplomacy was over. The age of human dominance had begun. In the hours that followed, Sarah watched her species inherit a galaxy that would never trust them again. The Leviathans had consumed the purging entities completely, incorporating their biological advantages into forms that no longer resembled anything Maria Vasquez had originally designed. They spread through the solar system with purpose that transcended their programming, evolving into something that existed solely to ensure humanity's continued dominance. Galactic observer ships are reporting to their home civilizations, Admiral Chen announced with weary resignation. Preliminary communications suggest immediate emergency sessions of the Galactic Council. Elena monitored the Leviathans through sensors that track their expansion beyond Mars' orbit. How long before they reach interstellar space? At current growth rates, approximately 72 hours. Director Hayes replied. Dr. Vasquez's organisms have developed propulsion methods that exceed our fastest ships. The magnitude of what her grandmother had unleashed. Every species that had evacuated during the purging event would return to find humanity protected by biological weapons that could pursue enemies across galactic distances. The careful balance of power that had existed for millennia was ending. The galaxy spent thousands of years establishing civilizations based on mutual cooperation, Sarah said quietly. And we just proved that cooperation ends when survival is at stake. Elena removed her helmet, revealing a face aged by the weight of necessary decisions. Your grandmother understood something the other species forgot. Peace exists only when everyone agrees to maintain it. The moment someone decides to break that agreement, the civilization that survives is the one best prepared for war. Through communication arrays, emergency broadcasts filled every frequency with reports of humanity's defense against the purging entities. Each transmission carried the same underlying message. Humans had revealed capabilities that made them the most dangerous species in galactic history. Mom, they're going to unite against us. Some will, Elena agreed. Others will seek alliance with the civilization that proved capable of defending itself against impossible odds. The galaxy is about to divide into those who fear humanity and those who recognize the benefits of human protection. The Leviathans now spread throughout the asteroid belt, converting mineral resources into nutrients that supported their continued evolution. They had become more than weapons. They were an ecosystem designed to thrive in any environment while ensuring threats to humanity could never emerge. Communication incoming from the Altarian Federation, Admiral Chen reported. They're requesting immediate status updates on human defensive capabilities. Elena smiled with grim satisfaction. The same species who evacuated without warning are now asking if we can protect them from future threats. Sarah watched the political transformation beginning across galactic civilization. Species that had treated humanity as junior partners were realizing their survival might depend on human protection. The careful diplomatic relationships her mother had spent 5 years building were evolving into something resembling vassalage. Emergency session of the Galactic Council convening within 6 hours, Director Hayes announced. Humanity has been invited to send a representative. Not invited, Elena corrected. Summoned. They need to know what we're capable of, what we're willing to do, and what price they'll pay for our continued cooperation. Sarah understood that her mother would attend that session wearing the same armor she'd brought to the university, not as a diplomatic gesture, but as a reminder that humanity no longer needed galactic approval for its choices. The age of asking permission had ended with the destruction of the 17th purging entity. Elena activated the communication array that connected Earth to every inhabited system in the galaxy. Her message would reach billions of beings whose civilizations had just learned the true nature of their human neighbors. "Citizens of the galaxy," Elena began, her voice carrying the authority of someone whose species had just proved its dominance. 24 hours ago, 17 entities approached Earth with the intention of purging human civilization. Today, those entities no longer exist. She gestured toward displays showing the Leviathans spreading through space with purpose that transcended their original design. Humanity has defended itself using capabilities we developed in case diplomacy failed. These capabilities are now active and expanding. Sarah watched her mother deliver the message that would define humanity's relationship with every species in the galaxy. Not a request for continued cooperation, not an apology for revealing their true nature. A simple statement of fact that carried implications no civilization could ignore. "The galaxy is changing," Elena continued. "Those who wish to maintain peaceful relationships with humanity will find us reliable allies. Those who pose threats to human interests will discover why the purging entities." The transmission ended, leaving silence that filled the vast spaces between stars. Sarah knew that silence would be broken by emergency deliberations, alliance negotiations, and surrender offers from civilizations that had suddenly learned their place in a galaxy dominated by humanity's most dangerous children. The Leviathans continued their expansion toward interstellar space, carrying with them the promise that no threat to humanity would ever be allowed to exist. Earth belonged to humans. Soon everything else would too.